Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another Monday live stream. This time we are a little bit early. We're here at 7 rather than 8 p.m. UK time, which, after all, is the only time zone that really matters. Just kidding, Americans on Independence Day. So we're going to be joined by Mr. Jason Miller of course, of GETTR, and we're looking forward to that. So I'm just going to make sure I bring up the GETTR stream, Americans, as well, so that I can see all your comments wherever you are. So yeah, so I hope this finds you all well, folks. And oh, Jason, I can see Jason. He's in the studio. He's in the background. We're going to bring him in a second. But because Jason Miller is the most sartorially elegant gentleman on the social media channels, you can see I've decided to dress up a little bit as well. That's the Miller impact. So look, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. We've been doing this for over a year now, I guess, and it's always a pleasure to spend this time on a Monday with you. But today is a very special day, and so I'm particularly pleased. It is, of course, American Independence Day, and that's a big cause for celebration for our friends across the pond. And it's also the first anniversary of GETTR. So without further ado, I can see him there. Let's bring on our special guest, Jason Miller.
David, how are you? Thank you very much for having me.
No, not at all, Jason. As I say, you're such a snappy dresser. I decided, well, I'm gonna do my best to raise my game so I can be in the same league as Jason. So yeah, Jason, look, welcome back to the platform. First of all, I appreciate you taking the time on such a day. Actually, I imagine it must be an extremely busy day for you. I'm not sure you get much of a rest, but yeah. So I wanted to, first of all, a happy birthday to GETTR. First thing to be said.
Thank you, sir. No, it's a year ago today we launched. We asked people to join with us in declaring their independence from big tech. And you always have, when you go into one of these projects, whether it's a campaign or now with a startup business, you have your goals, you know what you could hit, but then there's also that little bit of you're not sure how this is going to go. Look, most companies don't make it to a year. I can tell you for a fact that most social media companies never make it to 6 million strong, which is about where we are globally. And the way that we've continued to grow and add so many cool voices to the platform, I think it shows that we have the good technology, but also at a time when this issue is so important to so many people. And every time things start to get heated in any sort of political discussion, big tech can't help themselves. They start kicking people off, and they start looking for people start looking for alternative platforms then.
Yeah, no, Jason, you're right. I mean, anybody who's in business understands that, the rate of failure is extraordinarily high of any new enterprise. So the fact that GETTR's got to where it's gotten to in this short 12 months is remarkable. The first question I have for you is, look at as we look back, Jason, over the last 12 months, what have been the moments that you sort of fill you with the most sort of pride? What were the moments that fill you with the most despair? And then let's chat about what your ambitions are for GETTR in the next 12 months.
Yeah, so I always kind of take away from it the personal interactions because I come from a background in politics, and obviously now this convergence of politics and the digital economy. It's all about personal relationships. I mean, these is very much a relationship business. If we don't have a great customer service operation, people aren't going to come back. They're not going to stick around with us. If we're not attentive to issues or ideas from the user base, then they aren't going to stick around. They'll slouch back towards big tech. But I think of here in the US, and I tell this story all the time. She's an absolute sweetheart. I went to Madison Square Garden, where the New York Knicks play basketball in October, and it was the home opener late October, and they're playing the Boston Celtics. And Enes Kanter Freedom, who's on GETTR, by the way, used to play for the Celtics, and so myself and several of my colleagues went to go watch him. And I went out toward the end of the third quarter to grab myself an adult beverage, and the little old lady behind the counter, the bartender, says, "Jason, is that you?" And I'm wearing just a t-shirt and a hat. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, "It's me, Janice." I'm like, yeah. She goes, "From GETTR." And this lady is so sweet. She's on GETTR from day one, was a big fan of President Trump. And she was the bartender at Madison Square Garden. She came around, gave me a hug. We're actually going to have her bartend our first anniversary party coming up on Thursday of this week. So I've stayed friends with Janice.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think on one of my trips earlier this year to London, went to one of the Comedy Unleashed shows out there in East London. And I come walking in the room right at the end of Nick Dixon's set. And he says, you can follow me at Nick Dixon on Twitter. And he goes, anyone here on GETTR? I'm on GETTR at Nick Dixon. And I was like, wait a minute. He didn't know I was coming. He's at a comedy club delivering his routine, gives a shot. And so I was like, wait a minute, we're actually starting to cut through here. And so, of course, I started cheering like a madman from the back of the room. But I think of those things are like, you know what? This is actually a community that's growing.
Well, see, this is the thing. I saw a post that Ebony had put up in her feed, Jason, and it summed it up. It talked about GETTR is about what? Information, interactive, fun, and nice people. And you see, for me, Jason, that's the thing that probably differentiates more than anything else. I found nothing but lovely people that I've had dealings with. And I compare that to the swamp of Twitter. And, you know, it's like night and day. It's so remarkable that this community that's been growing, Jason, and that, you know, you formed in 12 months. It's just got the best people, don't you think?
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that we really set the goal at the beginning is to say that I think there's this artificial binary choice that the media is trying to set up. You can have free speech, but somehow free speech is analogous to hate speech or dangerous speech. Yeah. Or you can have restrictive speech, which is somehow analogous to safe speech or allowed speech. And I think that that false binary choice, that false dichotomy, I think is really a disservice to free speech. What we're showing with GETTR, you can have heated political debate. You can make sure that you keep people safe and there's no illegal activity, no illegal content. You can do both. This whole notion that that there are these two polar extremes and you can't do both at the same time, David, all that is a form of control. Whether it's the EU, whether it's Ofcom, whether it's big tech, that's all it is.
You know, I completely agree. And I mean, free speech is basically where you've staked the flag for GETTR. It is about free speech. And I have to say, Jason, over the past 12 months, and I've put out quite a few posts across that time. I mean, I've had no interference, nothing that's been, you know, in fact, actually, all I've ever done on GETTR is what I used to do on other platforms like Twitter before I was removed by the mob. And what I've seen over 12 months is more and more people come in here, Jason, more and more, you know, from all places, all parts. And so the GETTR community, I think, is the nicest community on social media. And I certainly hope it stays like that.
Well, we are fortunate right now that there's a little bit of that new car element to it. You know, when you have the new car and you still have that new car smell, you make sure that you keep it clean. You know, no one eats in the car. If there's even any mud, you go and clean it out right away. Now, I'm sure a few years down the road, it'll be like when your new car becomes an old car and we'll clean up the crumbs tomorrow. I'm sure people won't always treat it with the exact same degree of respect. But I think people are taking, one of the cool things I found, people are taking pride in the platform, even if they don't work at GETTR, even if they're maybe they're not someone who considers themselves a you know, some big thought leader or a political pundit. They're like, you know what, this is a community that actually respects me as a person, where I can speak my mind. I'm not going to get flooded with bots and people attacking me just for my beliefs. I kind of like it here. And we're seeing it's not just the US, it's not just the UK, but it's all around the world.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, I have people talking to me, Jason, from as far, well, actually on the stream tonight, I see we've got one of our regular Hawaiian viewers. Well, we got people from New Zealand, from Australia, right across the piece. And I see more and more of them coming here. And a lot of them are refugees from Twitter in particular, you know, where for free speech is essentially an oxymoron. And that's a question I wanted to ask you. Obviously, since we spoke last, we've seen the whole business about Elon Musk and the acquisition, blah, 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 blah. And I just wanted to ask you, do you think it's possible to make Twitter an absolutist free speech platform? Yes.
I don't think so. I think that the culture, it's too ingrained in their fiber, their every move. I've said that not only would Musk need to just remove the senior leadership, you'd have to remove all the entry-level people, the coders, the engineers, the customer service operators. I don't know if you saw this, David, but a month or two back, they even put in some new restrictions for some of the coders and engineers to make sure they couldn't mess with any of the new features that Twitter had coming, to make sure that there's no aspect of sabotage, for example. And I just have this vision of all the Twitter employees stacking their e-scooters on top of each other like they were barricades on the front line in 1917, and getting all of their soy lattes loaded to hurl like Molotov cocktails at Elon Musk and his troops that are coming in. I just don't see them going out anyway other than kicking and screaming. The other thing that's kind of interesting is, Musk has spent the last couple of months really hammering on Twitter shortcomings, which, hey, as a marketplace competitor, I don't mind, but I don't see how anyone comes in, Musk or anyone else, and then turns that operation around and says, we're going to double or quadruple daily active users. That's kind of like the Russians going into Mariupol and saying, all right, cool, where are we going to build the beach club? Like, no, guys, like it's rubble. There's nothing left of it. You're not going to. And so I think Twitter's days I think Twitter's on the decline at this point. I just don't see how they come back after the interaction with Musk.
Yeah, and that's so accurate in so many fronts, because Musk talks a good game in some regards, but as I frequently said, he would need to fumigate the Twitter from top to bottom, and that's not gonna happen. And the other thing is, I think it's just institutionally rotten. And I have to say, Jason, and it's a testament to what the work that the GETTR team have done. The environment here in GETTR is so pleasant that, to me, it would be like, who would want to go and have a dip in open sewage when you can be in a nice swimming pool where everything's nice and pleasant and whatnot? And so, and I suspect I'm not the only person that thinks like that. And that is that's down to what's been created here in 12 short months. So it's quite a reflection and a testament to you, to the team, and to yourself, and obviously all the people I know that work around you, that you've been able to get people, and more voices, like, for example, some of my fellow Brits, like Matt Letitia, for example, and that have come along, and I can see them growing all the time, and they'll bring even more people, and the community will keep growing. So it's a very virtuous circle we have at the moment, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that we have yourself. We have Matt Letitia. When I was just in London last week, I met up with the Richard and Fred from Right Said Fred.
Yeah.
We're going to be co-sponsoring their book launch party on August 11th at the Hard Rock Hotel in central London, which is great because everyone knows I'm too sexy for my shirt. So no, don't worry. I'll keep it on. No one wants to see me with my shirt off.
Please,
No, it's going to stay family friendly. Always going to have the tie on. Now, Richard and Fred, though, they look like they're in pretty good shape. I'm sure if they started doing their moves on the catwalk, no one's going to tell them to put their clothes back on. I, on the other hand, fully embrace my dad bod. The shirt is not coming off.
Yeah, but so it is great to see all these people, and I agree with your analysis on Twitter. And I think, actually, to be honest, there's no real point in looking over there. I think the more enlightened, and as GETTR grows, more enlightened people will come here. And this is a bit like, the logo. You've got the torch. This is kind of a torch for free speech, and and the right to express yourselves, which brings me to the next point, because, Jason, this is, as we both know, a very important election year in the States, with the midterms coming up, and again, I'm sure we watched what happened in 2016, but particularly how big tech responded to 2016 and the double whammy, the Trump victory and the Brexit, and they sure as hell didn't like that. And they've done everything possible since to, well, essentially remove people who are threats, conservative-minded people, be it in the US, be it in the UK. And it seems to me that, there's logic would say they're going to do exactly the same thing coming up to November, which puts a lot of emphasis and importance on GETTR, because you can be an antidote to that kind of undoubted censorship, which I think will increase, Elon Musk or not, between now and November.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then going specifically back to 2020, we never again will have a situation where we can't talk about a Hunter Biden laptop or some other critical issue. Never again will we be able to have all the social media platforms collude with the media to say, nope, we're going to absolutely shut down any discussion over an issue. And, David, in some of the post-election polling, 1 out of every 6 Biden voter, 1 out of every 6
Yeah.
said that the news that was covered up with that, again, we're not talking about Hunter's goofy pictures with a feather boa and
Yeah.
most of whatever floats your boat, that's your business. Here's where it's the public's business. We're talking about the business interests of the now president and his family and how that could impact either policy decisions or policy actions that involve the entire country. So let's take a look at the hotspots right now around the world. Ukraine, where
Yeah.
Biden has been a lifetime pro-Ukraine into NATO, pro-Ukraine into the EU, very much poking the bear when it comes to Russia, or with regard to China, where we know obviously all about Hunter's business dealings. Now we do
Yeah.
with China, and especially China at the precipice of taking over Taiwan. I wish the American public knew about the Biden family business deals before the election.
Yeah, no, but this is the thing. They won't be able to shut us down the way they did in 2020, and that's why I think Getter's there's such an important moment coming, Jason, in these next months, because on again today, American Independence Day. Those of us who we may not be American, but as you can see behind me, we have a strong affinity with all of you guys, and we see what's happening. We see exactly what's happening, and the difficulty is, I think, if people go to sort of the traditional big tech Californian soy boy latte drinking, nose ring wearing media, social media, they're not going to get any of the real issues discussed. So I think it's great because it means that in the months ahead, we can really tackle the big meaty issues here on Getter, free from the fear that we're going to be censored or erased, which I think that's why, as somebody says here, Twitter is utterly dystopian. They're dead right, aren't they? Whereas Getter is, I think, about reality.
Yeah, no, I think that really Twitter and even Facebook become these dystopian, again, that George Orwell just 40 years behind schedule is exactly where they are. They believe in free speech and they believe in your free speech as long as they agree with you. And if they don't agree with you, then they're going to find a way to kick you off their platform or give you the algorithm treatment or the digital jail treatment until you
Yeah.
basically either they kick you off or you just quit yourself.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I wanted to ask you this, Jason, because it mystifies me. Talking to my producer about this before we come on, and one of the things that I don't quite understand is why do people stick around on anti-free speech platforms like name them Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. These people are opposed to free speech, and yet there's the people sit on them and they complain about them. And I encourage all those people, just leave them behind you, walk away and come here. But there's a stickability factor, isn't there? Or maybe it's just people get accustomed, Jason, to where they've been.
So I think there are different reasons. I think for some people who have, whether it's a campaign to promote, maybe a business to promote, they want, and they've built up an audience, they don't want to lose that. Maybe part of their job or the reason they're on social media is they need to have that megaphone to reach as many people as possible, even if it's not necessarily people who agree with them or want to be with them. So I can understand it, especially say like politicians want to reach people from all ideologies and all background, of which I always tell politicians, it's your job to be on as many platforms as possible, talk to as many people, embrace the decentralized viewpoint, because then you're never shut down. I do think some of our conservative allies, though, I think there's a sense of almost a sense of validity or a sense that they want to at some point be accepted by these mainstream guys. And what I would say to some of them, and this is definitely the minority category of our friends, but I think some people, you're never going to get validation from the Twitter community. All you're going to get are headaches, negativity, frustration, anger. That's all it's going to deliver to you.
Yeah, which is why it is pleasing to see more and more political figures, Jason, especially from the US, on Getter and setting up a home here, as well as having their accounts on these other platforms. Because again, I think that rounds their reach, and it means, let's be honest, I mean, the people who are in Getter are probably their base anyway, rather than the lunatic fringe that infests Twitter. So this is so I welcome that, and I wish there were more of these people, and I'm sure there will be as the platform grows, setting up home here as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly the case. And as we grow, it's like a snowball at this point. More and more people, the issues are engaging, conversations engaging, and people are joining us every single day. And so I think you're right. I think that big tech has probably seen their best days in the rearview mirror, and people realize that
Mm.
platforms like Facebook and Twitter just aren't fun.
Yeah. I think the problem with social media is it's got a very short shelf life, hasn't it? And things like Facebook feel really old fashioned now. And Twitter, I think just as a platform, it's messy. It looks a really messy, disjointed platform, even if it is very, very big. Whereas Getter has been. I mean, this is the other thing. It's changed so much in these 12 months. I mean, we've got the live streaming, we've got the visions. Today we got direct messages. So I mean, that's exactly. That is a tremendous technical advance again in a very, very short window.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about the DMs, the direct messages. This is something that people have wanted for a long time, and we are making it the all-in-one free speech platform with DMs, vision, live streaming, the timeline scroll. So even if, say, you're watching a live stream, whether you want to be on the chat, whether you want to send DMs, you want to go and post messages,
Yeah.
you can do everything now from within the safe environment. You don't have to go and bounce over to Twitter or to Instagram or
Yeah.
Facebook where you're wondering, is this the time I get kicked off? Is this the time I lose all my followers? Come to a place where you know you're going to be appreciated.
Yeah, and one question someone did ask me, Jason, today. I think the DMs are available on. Have I got this right? They're on the web, so they're on. If you're on the web, you can send them. And similarly, if you're an Android, but they're not on iOS yet, is that correct, Jason?
Yes, that's just a matter of days. We submitted everything to the App Store, the Apple App Store. Google just moved faster with the approval, and so it literally could be tomorrow, within the next couple of days, that it's on iOS, on Apple. So we're just waiting for Google to sign off, but definitely right now on the web, go and dive in. Or if you have an Android or a Samsung or Google, then you can dive right on your mobile right away.
And another question I see someone's asked, Rustin asks, is post editing coming, Jason? I have heard this one from other people as well. I've got to say, there's not the worst thing in the world is when you type a post and you push it out and it does really well, right? And then you spot the typo in it, and there's nothing you can do. At this point, I just go with the flow. I don't care anymore. But
Yeah,
what about the? And I think it must be quite tricky to do. What's the story on editing posts?
So we had kind of this big trilogy series lined up of making sure we had vision, making sure we stabilized live streaming and a few updates to the user experience, and then getting DMs launched. Now that we have these three out, we're going to sit down this next week and look at where do we go from here on improving the user experience. Certainly right near the top is post editing, but we've been driving the team so hard to get these other features in place. I don't have an exact date for you yet.
No, I can fully understand that. Paul Davies on the stream says, Getter Pay sounds super interesting too. So I think we did mention Getter Pay in the past, didn't we? As something that could be coming along the line too, Jason.
Yeah, and in the 5 o'clock hour U.S. time, which is in the 10 o'clock hour U.K. time, I'll be talking with Brian Thompson, who's going to be heading up that effort for the Getter team. But we'll be talking about the crypto ecosystem that we're going to be creating here on the Getter platform. It's going to allow people to both monetize their content. So whether it's your show or other shows, allow for online tipping and appreciation. Also allow people to have most of the advertising dollars be returned to people in the form of Getter coin that they can then share around. So it's a really cool idea. I think it's a way that a lot of people are going to realize, whoa, I just essentially earned a bunch of money. Maybe they didn't expect to. And I think that's really going to make a difference in getting content creators to move over to Getter permanently when they realize how much more they can make.
I think so, Jason, because it's the creation of a holistic environment, isn't it? It's 360 degrees where essentially everything you want to do, you can do it here. You don't need, and I know I mean, it makes very strategic sense as well, but you don't need to go anywhere else. And as I said, from my own experience over the past 12 months, I can tell you, I find that I can get pretty much what I need here now. And that's, as I say, in 12 months isn't that long in this environment, to have created all these things and to have got it all. The customer service you mentioned at the beginning of this, I mean, again, any issues that I've had, and I'm sure other people can tell me what they think, but been dealt with really, really quickly by your guys, so it's not like, in the days of Twitter, you'd send something and you never get a response. Here, you get a response straight back, and, it's all done and resolved. So I think the holistic environment, Jason, is you're well on the way to creating a one shop for all basically scenario here in GETTR.
Yeah, and that's the goal, to be able to bring all the best parts of social media together, to have it under a free speech umbrella. And doesn't matter what age or what your background or interests are, as we start talking about doing things to build out the community, we're going to have a GETTR user locator. So if you want to turn on your location area and find other people who are on GETTR, whether at the same event or festival or sporting event, or even in your town, you'll be able to do that. We'll have groups that'll be created, so you can then talk with people on issues maybe in politics or even outside of politics. So a whole bunch of features they're coming down the pike pretty shortly, but everything comes back to building community.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting there's a really positive stream of comments coming in here, Jason. GETTR's a smooth, clean-looking interface. It is absolutely, Sean. It is. Well, one question though, Jason, sort of one slight concern is that we've got, for example, in the UK, the British government talking about bringing in reasonably, could be potentially restrictions on what can be published. And to me, I see that as invasive, and they should not be doing that. But I think they will go down that road. And other countries like Germany, where I know you've been recently, the Germans are a bit sort of censorious as well. What's your thoughts on how that would impact on a platform like GETTR?
Yeah, so some of these new laws that are coming in are really quite concerning. You have in the EU, the Digital Services Act, which passed, and that kicks in January. We actually, over on GETTR Live a little bit earlier, had member of the European Parliament, Jerome Riviere from France, talking about that and saying that they're going to have a real tough time implementing some of these free speech restrictions. I am buoyed a bit by the fact that I ran into Toby Young from the Free Speech Union when I was in London last week, and he said that he thinks there'll be a number of amendments to the UK's online safety bill. And in particular, with the UK, it's this legal but harmful definition. I'm going to give you kind of a far out example. I'll tell you what I mean. That if something's legal but harmful, that can essentially lead to posts being taken out, but it's Ofcom that's going to be regulating it, not the companies themselves. So when you start getting the actual government agency doing it, of course, we know they'll be left to center. They'll be more bureaucratic. They won't feel beholden to anyone. It's not like they've gotten elected. Let me give you an example of where I get really concerned on legal but harmful. Let's just say that you're radical and you believe that there are two genders. There, believe it or not, there are some people on this planet who think there are only two genders. And if you express your belief that there are only two genders, thereby alienating the other 148 genders, as the BBC is now saying, does that mean that you're being harmful to the other 148 genders? And could you have your post removed simply for expressing your Catholic faith or your Protestant faith about what your belief is with regard to genders? That might seem a little farcical, but that's where this could easily go. Someone could be like, hey, I identify as, I don't know, whatever gender number 73 is. I don't have them all memorized, and you have to take down this other person's content. Otherwise, it's harmful, and it's a slippery slope.
Yes, it's very disturbing. And that, I think when we face a menace like that, I would rather face that threat and that menace with GETTR behind me than the other Silicon Valley ones who are going to 100% be completely conforming and enforcing it. Because again, I think this is all about, where GETTR's about free speech, the rest of this mob, it's all about restricted speech. It's about stopping people saying things that they don't like. And I've always taken the view, Jason, that, I don't mind what people can say what they want. It's fine by me. I don't want to shut anybody up, even if they profoundly disagree with me. But the EU and the British government, they're just as bad. They are a wee bit of an existential threat, which I'm sure we will face. Jason, I'm conscious of time, and I know you're off to one of my other friends over on the Voice of Wales, I think, shortly. So also a big shout out, Jason, by the way, to our mutual friend Peter McElvenna of Hearts of Oak. one of the top guys. I want to thank you, Jason, for taking this time on this really busy day and a special day to be with myself and the people who tune into me. And thanks for all you've done here on GETTR. It's been an absolute pleasure. Look forward with great optimism for the next 12 months. I'm absolutely confident that we're going to get a good result in November, which is going to change things dramatically, your side of the pond, and hopefully GETTR will grow from strength to strength. So, Jason, that's it from me. If you want to sort of take yourself off, we will now go on and revert to my usual stuff. But thank you for being here, Jason. Right, that was Mr. Jason Miller on the GETTRs. So I hope you enjoyed Jason. He's a top guy. Gotta say, really enjoy having Jason on the stream. That's a couple of times he's been on with us. How was that for you all? Someone says, get over to Voice of Wales. Hey, Rustin, he's not on to 8 o'clock on Voice of Wales, I'll have you know. So you got another 30 minutes of yours truly. So, well, as I said, that was Jason, and what a great platform this is. I do everything I said I meant. I enjoy it here. I enjoy all the stuff we do. I mean, obviously, I do all the other stuff. I do the podcasting stuff on Podbean, and you can get me there. I've even got a new premium podcast stuff. Hope you'll sign up to that one as well for an extended version of the normal little stuff that I do every day. Some of your comments I just want to deal with here. Brummy Pilgrim says it was good, but censorship coming is worrying. Yeah, it is. Look, they want to censor us. They're going to give GETTR probably a hard time, just like they've given Gab a hard time. I don't doubt any of that. But I think if we all stand together, we're the people. I mean, look at today, America, what you're celebrating, U.S. independence. How you stood together and you achieved the awesomeness of the U.S. Declaration and United States of America. And so I think if we all stand together on a platform like this, I think that is going to be the best thing we can do. I mean, some things, Brummy Pilgrim, we can't stop happening, but we can. Tis but a scratch, says Gab, brings it on itself. I like Gab. I get lots of friends over in Gab as well. I find Gab a good platform too. But there's a niceness. This is, maybe you think this is a cliche, but it's how I feel. I've not met anybody. I don't meet any bad people here. I've got a couple of serial trolls, right, from my Twitter years, and they hate me, even though I don't know who they are. But these individuals despise me, and so they're typical of Twitter. Oh, by the way, yes, tis but a scratch. I do understand that point concerning anti-Semitism on Gab. It annoyed me, but I've just kind of now taken the view that I think there's a lot of good folks in Gab too, and we should take that, I think, in the whole on the whole sort of side of things. But no, the thing is that we do face tremendous challenges, and I see my friend Lara. Lara, I meant to give you a shout out. Sorry that I was conscious of the time there when I was talking to Jason. So I try to give you as many people as possible. I want to let you know my appreciation for all the support I've had from people. There's so many of you names which are new to me, compared to, say, the people I knew on Twitter. So you're all new people, and you're the bestest people. So thanks, Ricky. Rick sent a super chat from the YouTube saying, "Who is the real president?" As I watched Trump address Mount Rushmore with the flyover, if he was an ex-president, surely he wouldn't have the power to summon the flyover of a stealth bomber. Well, you see, he is the real president. That's the problem. Sorry, that was Ricky. That's Israel. I mean, I believe, and we can't say that. You see, you couldn't say this on. Oh, we'll have to watch. We're on the YouTubes, aren't we? Yeah. Well, who is he indeed? Because if we're talking in YouTubes, we all know that, of course, the 2020 presidential election was the most legitimate ever. Meanwhile, thanks, Lara. It's such a pleasure to have you and all of you guys who come here. Excuse me. Do appreciate it, and your commitment is fantastic. And I do my best to push out stuff as much as I can every day. And some of it's good and some of it is maybe not so good. But everything I do is heartfelt, everything. So people might say, well, he's wrong in that and he's right in the other. That's fine. It's just me doing the stuff that I do. But the feedback I get from the nice people on GETTR make it worthwhile. I'll be honest with you, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Lara and some of the others who were on Twitter before being removed. I used to log on, back in the day, back in 2019, early 2020, onto my Twitter account. There was 172,000 people allegedly following me, but half of them were probably Chinese bots anyway, right? And you would log on and you'd sort of look like that and you'd say, oh my God, is that what they're saying about me? A homophobe, Islamophobe, everything that could be untrue. All of the Republican rockers off to his Independence Day barbecue. Have a great one, Republican rocker. You've been a real great ally, and thank you so much for being on my stream. And I know I am holding some of you Americans up probably from your celebrations today. Although, hey, that barbecue is a lot more expensive under Mr. Joe Biden than it was under Mr. Donald Trump. That's strange. Sean, thank you very much for your kind words regarding the Podbean. I wanted to finish this with what I said on the people here. You people are great, and I'm not just saying that. And I compare that to the people on Twitter. Some of them were great, and some of them were horrible. Whereas I can log on here if it's on GETTR and every day, and there's nothing bad. I don't see anything bad, nothing horrible said to me or about me. Sometimes people maybe disagree with a particular post, which is fine. But it's all fine, but the people are great. Lara says Twitter has a big bot problem. It is. I mean, actually, Lara, I think half of the followers, aren't human beings. Mind you, Donny Girl says it's only 8:30 a.m. here in Hawaii. Yeah, I know. I always forget about the fact you're so far behind us, I think, aren't you? So your day is just starting as my day is just coming to a close, actually, Donny Girl. But it's good to see you. And thanks for all your kind words regarding the podcast. As you know, we've just celebrated 500,000 downloads. We've just got this brand new premium podcast, which you can listen to once a week. It only comes out on a Sunday, and it's a 30-minute longer form content. And so someone says, Rustin Hazenberg says, it's like a little village from the 1970s. Well, maybe that's what we're creating here on GETTR, a village. I mean, I remember that, the dreadful woman who should be in prison, Hillary Clinton. She wrote a book, didn't she? It Takes a Village. But I think what it takes is individuals, good-natured, well-intentioned individuals who want to, like Lara says here, we want to meet folks from all around the world and be friendly and be respectful. These are the things that matter to me. That's very, very hard on other platforms. How can you be respectful on Twitter when all you get is hate, 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 hate? I don't want that. And so, if Elon Musk was able to defumigate Twitter, he could shove it, because I don't want to be amongst those people anymore. And as I said, I know that's a bit unfair to the people who remain over there. Hello, Elaine, by the way, Elaine 454, and your dancing GETTR bear. So I don't want to be amongst them. I want to be amongst you, because it's always nice. I do. The people I follow, and I do read your posts and the stuff that you say. And the one thing that strikes me every day, time and time again, is the pleasantness, the friendliness, the comradeship, the fact of we're kind of brothers and sisters in arms in this battle for freedom, to restore liberty, and to get things done. And we only can really do that, I think, when we are on platforms like GETTR. So all of you folks who are watching this on the YouTubes, we need you to make sure that you do come across onto the GETTRs, because ultimately big tech wants us to lose. It wants to imprison you. It wants to take away your freedom. You saw what it did over the most dreaded pandemic known to man. You know about that. Got the message says, GETTR is more civil. Yep. Sean says Twitter's hard work. Yeah, I see all your comments there, guys. Yeah. Jason says he's kind of glad Elon Musk takes over Twitter. Well, we'll have to watch and see, Jason, is what I would say. I don't know what's going to develop over there. You heard Jason Miller. He is not very optimistic about it. I am not very optimistic about it. It would be lovely if somehow Twitter was to become a decent platform like GETTR. Can't see it. I just cannot see it. 44 billion or not. Leslie, good to see my friend Leslie Olds here, by the way. Leslie, you've been such a pleasure to have met over the past year as well. Another one of these great people that I don't know where you've all come from, by the way. You know, I came from Twitter, exiled from Twitter, and just about hanging on to the YouTubes and the Facebooks. But wherever you all guys have come from, I'm so glad we've all ended up here. And that's the debt of honor we owe, I think, to Jason and the team from GETTR, because they are really, really, you know, fast moving. I know we can all say, well, look, you know, if you want to, you know, can't we edit our messages? Can't we do some other things? But I think that, you know, just to have gotten, for example, direct messages, we have them today. And you heard Jason say, you're going to have them. I've got an Apple, I got an iPhone, right? We'll have them on the iPhones in the next couple of days or whatever. So, I mean, that's another step forward, because sometimes it is useful to have DMs if you want to communicate with friends and whatnot. And then the other thing is, as someone who, you know, I like to break stories. People do send me stories all the time, and now they'll be able to send me them via the direct messages and on GETTR. I see CCZ says, Lara, Twitter is better, GETTR is better. Yeah, absolutely. Lara's talking about the Twitter swamp. It is a swamp. It absolutely is a swamp. And honestly, you know, there are good people still on it. I just want them to come off it. Walk away from it. I know for certain types of things, for information, you may you may need to go there to get stuff. But I think, for example, the government institutions and whatnot who put information out on Twitter should have a legal obligation to put it out here in GETTR as well. So, you know, I think that Sean says, I made a good point about Apple and the likes coercing Twitter to follow their code of conduct. Yeah. Well, I mean, Sean, this is the name of the game with Apple. But I think so far, GETTR have played it really clever. They have done. There's no. I mean, I don't know if I've not seen any hate speech here on Twitter, or sorry, on GETTR, unlike Twitter. So I've not seen any. As I say, all I get is a couple of serial trolls who must have about 1 million different sock puppet accounts, and they come along and they push a little post to me saying, David Vance, you're the most hateful person ever, and then they run away, and that's it. And that's something I can deal with. John Gleason says, Slava Luhansk. Oh, John Gleason, you mean President Zelensky just lost one of the final major cities in the Donbass? How can that be when he's such a wonderful wartime leader? Rustin says here he has seen hate on GETTR, but only from the left. Yeah, I've been lucky then. I've not seen anything like that, Rustin, and I hope not to. I mean, you know, on other platforms you do see some things that make you cringe, unfortunately, but on GETTR I never see anything that makes me cringe. The other thing I see, by the way, and I see this, I think it's a really nice thing. I see a lot of inspirational messages on GETTR. And I do, by the way, those who post these inspirational messages, I do notice them. And it's all about, you know, people having a lovely day and making the best of what you have and all this. And I think that is terrific. Tis but a scratch says, we're going to have GETTR, True Social, Rumble, and Locals all united under, well, POTUS 45, 46, 47. Same guy. So I think I mean, I have to say, Truth Social is one that I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Truth Social. Obviously, I support President Trump and Donald Trump. I want him to be, reelected, obviously. But I think Getter, and okay, it's a lot. It's got a lot more time going. But Getter just has it all, doesn't it? Really, So I can live stream to you here on Getter. I can do direct messages now. I can do that. Obviously says I love winning. Yeah, this is the thing though. This is a key point. We are winning. Don't let them convince you that, oh, we're all, our cause is lost. The progressive left have won. No, they haven't. Furthermore, we're just starting. That's the thing I took out of that chat with Jason was that Getter's just starting. It's been a year. We need give Getter another year. Give it 2 years. I mean, I remember Twitter way back in the early time as well. There was a lot of sort of development that it needed, and I think Getter's getting there faster. So I think I'm just reading your comments here because I can read the comments on Getter. I can't speak them out because I'm on YouTube, and if I say some of the things ZZZs, I would probably get an instant ban here. But yeah, Lara, I mean, Gab has got direct messages. They're a bit clumsy. I don't particularly like them, but I do respect Andrew Torba. I've said this before. I do respect Andrew Torba, and I respect a lot of my friends over there as well. But as I say, the more Getter, yes, Getter has been amazing over 12 months. So that makes me ask you the question, what do you think it's going to be like over the next 12 months? I mean, I met Jason Miller in London back in February at an event. And and not only Jason, but a couple of the other guys as well. And they were the bestest people. They're just, you saw him on the screen there. That's just the way he is. I think people like Jason Miller, I think people like Steve Bannon, these are the guys that are doing more than most to fight for our free speech, our liberty, and our right to speak our mind. I see your comments about crypto and whatnot. No, I mean, I think I'm all for a Getter coin and whatnot. And, like ultimately, the best way Getter can succeed is to encourage people like us, to all of you watching this and people like me, to put as much time and consideration into providing providing thoughtful discussion, interesting discussion, humorous discussion. I like to have a laugh. I'm sure you do as well. So having all of those things within this environment, which has been created here, So, as I say, it's going to be difficult because the European Union is out to crush free speech. We saw in the States, by the way, all American friends, we've seen your totally legitimate president, Mr. Biden, wanting to have his disinformation czar. Remember that one? That hasn't gone away. We have the UK with their online hate bill. And these things have all got the same agenda. The agenda is to restrict our free speech. And they will try and do that by punishing platforms like Gab, like Getter. They won't punish Twitter. They don't need to. They won't punish Facebook. They don't need to because they're part of it. All of the Kabbalists, they won't punish them. But, I just think that challenge is coming anyway. No matter how you want to look on it, that's going to happen. And so, I'm just having a quick look here. Let me see something. Can't see. So anyway, I'm just going to talk. We have to defend our free speech. And the way you do that is you support Getter. You really do. Support Jason. Now, here's something that's been recommended. John Gleason says, recommended reading Silence by Tommy Robinson. Now, Tommy Robinson is an individual who, if you read the mainstream media, he's the most, demonized man in England for sure, in the UK for sure, banned from all big tech platforms, I guess, but warmly welcomed by Getter. And, you don't have to agree with everything Tommy Robinson says to respect that some of the work that he's undertaken in exposing the the grooming gang cultures, which unfortunately infest our English cities, or many English cities. That's laudable work. So I'm glad that GETTR is a home for Tommy Robinson. I'm glad it's a home for for other renegades. I wish other people. There was people I used to count amongst my pals over in the Twitters. People like the Stefan Molyneux over in Canada. People like the Katie Hopkins here in the UK, people like that. I wish they would come here, but maybe they haven't made that decision yet. Maybe they won't, maybe they will, but I would certainly think they would be welcome, because as far as I can see, this is a relatively censorship-free environment. I don't think you can have an absolute censorship-free environment, by the way, because if people put up some stuff, the sort of stuff you put up like on Twitter, I've seen stuff on Twitter, and even the past couple of days, horrendous stuff, horrendous, threatening violence and all of that there. That's okay on Twitter. That's fine. Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah. But, yes, Stefan Molyneux from Athlone. I met Stefan again about 5 years ago now, and I liked Stefan Molyneux, and I used to enjoy all of his work. Yes, Rustin's right. Stefan did post only once, I think, here, so maybe it's not for him, and that's fine, because time moves along and things change. Donny Girl says she's been watching Tommy for over 5 years. Tommy's treatment has been disgraceful. Yeah. No, Katie Hopkins is not. There may be an account called Katie Hopkins. I'm pretty sure it's not Katie Hopkins. So, but I mean, there's been so many people taking off those soy boy, California, big tech tyranny platforms. There's so many of them that you lose count of them, actually. And there'll be more. My point to Jason Miller as well was, you heard me say it, that between now and November, powerful conservative voices who are still on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube will be taken down. It's a guarantee. It's a certainty. It's an absolute certainty. That's why, again, I think what we're doing, folks, let me give you this thought on Independence Day. We're pioneers, along with the great guys at GETTR. We are the pioneers. We've come here in our numbers. According to Jason, there's 6 million of us plus. We are developing the planes that lie in front of us. We are the pioneers of the 2020s on social media. Yes, obviously a scammer. Yeah, if you have any issues about people like Katie and just wanting to check us at them, let me know, and I'll soon clarify that for you. But we're pioneers. We're on this new platform. It's 12 months old. We can do live streaming. We can do all this stuff. In the meantime, when I'm not doing that, I'm doing a daily podcast, of which you can become a super fan. By the way, you can get those every day. You can get premium podcasts. I'm trying to do, somebody said this to me the other day on social media, and I really appreciated the comment. Big tech thinks that when they shut you down, that's it. No, big tech, you're wrong. What you do is, with people like us, if you strike us down, we rise up 10 times stronger. That's what happens with people like us. So therefore, you've done all that you can with people like Tommy, and to a degree with people like me as well. You've treated us so badly, and we are now, to be honest, have as much influence now as we ever did. So I would just encourage everybody who's watching this, to on the GETTRs, that is. I see you guys on the YouTubes as well, but I encourage you all to encourage as many friends as possible to get on GETTR, sign up, and become part of this adventure, because the world looks different than it did 12 months ago today, and I can assure you it's going to look very different in 12 months' time. If I'm blessed to still be here, and during that next 12 months, heaven forbid, you get a load of stuff coming from me. Malibite says, I've got to go soon, David, over to Voice of Wales Live. So thank you for the live stream, and we'll catch you again. Yeah, Old Baz says he's always been a pioneer. I think we all are. think honestly, the metaphor is quite a good one and quite an appropriate one for this day. We are the pioneers. We are, and of course, it's not easy being a pioneer. It wasn't easy for the original pioneers either. It's in fact, it was extraordinarily difficult. But that's what we are, and we are therefore, I think, going to have a fantastic 12 months ahead of us. I believe we will have, Jason's telling me there's going to be an economic crash. There's going to be famines. There's going to be the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So we don't care because we're going to survive because we are strong. We are strong. Don't forget Hearts of Oak. Yeah, I did give Peter and the Hearts of Oak guys a big shout. I think they're going live as well. So as I say, it's been a really busy day this, and I do appreciate Jason Miller taking the time out because he didn't have to come on here. But I think Jason O'Brien says he's great at parties. Oh, I bet you are, Jason. You're the life and soul of a party. Hello, Jason. How's things? Well, we're gonna have famines. We're gonna have plagues. We're gonna have pestilence, and that's before we even talk about the virus. Anyway, yeah, Jason, you're good fun, and that's what I say. And I say this all the time, and I mean it. What motivates me most to do all this stuff is when I interact with you guys, and we have all this great chat, all the banter. That's what, for me, makes the whole thing. Hi, Vicky, by the way. I should have said hello to you earlier. My apologies. Sometimes when I'm doing this and I'm looking at a couple of different streams here, I miss things because I'm reading out my script. Oh, I've got my script. You've got a script, David? Nah, I haven't got a script. It's all off the top of my head, bit like my hair. So yeah, feed your neighbors if there's a famine. We're going to prevail. Here's what's going to happen in November. I believe, unless the nefarious Democrats do what they did previously, we're going to see a change in Senate and in the lower house. We're going to see a big blow struck there. I think the whole COVID narrative has fallen apart. I think so much of what they've tried to push on us, Ukraine. I mean, I'll do a separate one on Ukraine, but you can see it isn't working out the way they thought as well, because, oh gosh, Russia's prevailing. Imagine that. So Jason O'Brien says here, we will. Well, there you go, Jason. You've turned positive because you're growing your own veg. Yeah, actually, I grow my own veg as well. Sensible doing that there. So look, guys, I've come to the end of the stream here. I'm just about run out of speed. I don't know if there's anything I've missed. My producer Jed will tell me if I've missed anything, but other than to say all the links or everything, or premium podcast, that's what I want you to sign up to. That I want you all to do that. Because I'm going to try and develop longer form, potentially interviews, longer form audio things, which aren't necessarily video things. And they'll be done through the podcast channel. So that's the plan for it. So, hey, look, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed the chat with Jason Miller. Tell all my American friends again, have a wonderful Independence Day. I'm proud of all of you patriots. I think we stand with you, even though you broke away. You left us, you left me, and you went and you formed your own country. You've done a good job for most of the time. You got to get it back, though. You got to get it back from you know whom. And I have every confidence in you. But listen, you all have a fantastic Independence Day, fantastic 4th of July. I spent the 4th of July in 2016 in California, of all places, actually. And it's an amazing event in your year. So have a great day. Thanks for being here. And thanks, Lara. Thanks, Doniger. Thanks, everybody, for being part of this one. And catch up with you guys Wednesday night, 8 o'clock in my normal slot. And look forward to putting the world right then. That's it from me for tonight, everyone. Good night.